be Docker. As the title of your course suggests that you are learning Docker and Kubernetes. Actually, inside the Docker, what you are going to learn and what you will be gaining. This you will be learning in this session. But first of all, let me introduce myself. Once it is done, then we can go for the real-time configurations of Docker and Kubernetes. Now here, so I'm Chaitanya. I will be your trainer for the next 5 weekends, like whatever the sessions that we are going. So yes. So the next thing here is I have completed my graduation and I joined as a system administrator in so and so company. I have past 10 years. From past 10 years, I'm working as an IT system administrator. And later on from 2016, 2017 onwards, and then later on, I have moved into this AWS cloud. And I have gained a very good experience. Now, whenever I am working, now I am working as a senior DevOps engineer. So I used to work for this Docker and Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so there will be several hurdles and problems that we are going to face in our company. But anyways, so here what we are going to learn is, so how we are going to deploy a cluster, how we are going to work with the Docker, how we are going to work with the containers, that we are going to learn. So especially we are going to learn about the containers. So what is meant by container, how we can create the container, and what else we can do with the containers. These are the things that we are going to learn, and how we can balance the containers. Okay, these are all the concepts that you will be coming back into the courses. And regarding myself, as I already said you about that, I am working as a senior DevOps engineer, and I have my certifications with AWS, CKA, that is Kubernetes certified Kubernetes administrator. And later on, I will be, I am having some Microsoft certifications, and I am a certified Cisco network administrator. Okay, so these are all my certifications when coming back to the certifications and the experience, as I already said you that from 2013 onwards, I'm working as an IT admin. So that's about myself, and let me have a small introduction about yourselves, and we will be going with the flow. And let introduce about yourself, what you want to say, and why you are learning the talk, or what did you know about this. And later on, we will be going with the syllabus. Okay, we will be learning the syllabus, and then what is the curriculum that we are going to learn in this sessions, and then we are going to get a knowledge on the basic knowledge about the Kubernetes syllabus, Docker and Kubernetes syllabus, and later on we will be going forward into the basic concepts. So what are the basics that you need to have, and then we will be learning about prerequisites. These are very important for learning the Docker and Kubernetes concept. What are the prerequisites that we need to have to get the knowledge? So this is what we are going to understand here. Okay, so yeah, let us go with the introduction, and then we will be going further forward into the concepts. Yes, go on. And one thing I just want to ask you, is there anybody, students who are attending from my, so is there anybody who is attending my AWS classes and attending my Docker classes? Is there any student? Okay, so let's start. So introduce about yourself. As it is a first session, we will be going with small introductions, and then today's agenda is that. So as I already said you that today's agenda is to know about the syllabus and the prerequisites, and lastly we will be going with the basics, or else we will be going with first of all the prerequisites to learn the Docker and Kubernetes, and then we will be going with the syllabus. Anyways, up and down. So that's okay. Yes, just introduce about yourself.
Hey,
yes.
Myself Chaitanya.
Hi, Chaitanya.
Yeah, hi. I'm having the four plus experience in the DevOps.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, presently I'm working in team-based solution as an operation engineer. So regarding, I mean, based on the project, previously I was taken the course on DevOps, but that much of what I won't covered on the Docker and Kubernetes.
Okay.
So now my projects involves, I mean, like Docker and Kubernetes was there. Recently also we deployed the country deployment or something we did.
Okay.
So I want to learn more on that. So as I want to join this.
Okay, fine. I understand your concern. Yeah. Yes, I understood about this. Any another? Yeah, go on. Any another they want to introduce about themselves? And yeah. Yes, you. Okay. So if anybody wants to ask any questions, yes,
Um,
Mallikarjun.
yeah, myself Mallikarjuna. I
Yes,
have
hi.
working from 2011 as
Mm-hmm.
ETL tech engineer, and also I'm experienced in big data testing.
Okay, very good.
I'm testing background into data warehouse, databases,
Mm-hmm.
and manual testing kind of things.
Okay.
Okay. So I learning this course actually is this course helpful for us me to data apps or ML apps or BI apps or AI apps kind of code. So where we are deploying the code from one environment to other environment, like a dev environment to
Obviously.
QA to production.
Yes,
So
obviously. This course will be helping for you. So it will be like, see, so we will go into the subject. Once we enter into the subject, you will understand how this course will be helping you and all the things. Yeah. Any another one? Okay, chalo. So now let us go with the configurations of this. First of all, let me introduce you about the prerequisites. What you need to have, you need to have just a 4 GB RAM laptop. If you're all, if you are having, that's more than enough. A laptop with 4 GB RAM, Windows operating system, that's more than enough. Now, what we have to understand here is, so whatever the Docker concepts, whatever the Kubernetes concepts that I am going to cover in these sessions, I will be covering on the AWS cloud. So I am having my AWS account. So with the help of that AWS cloud, or else my Docker servers, or else whatever the servers, whatever the EC2 instances that I'm going to deploy, all the EC2 instances will be in the AWS only. So at least you need to have a basic understanding about AWS regarding the VPC and EC2 instances, how we can create the EC2 instances and what is meant by security groups. So if you have this basic understanding, then you can work it out. Okay, so it is not like we can't work it out. So it is not like that, you can work it out. And if anybody are there who are Telugu speaking people are there, so who can understand Telugu well, I don't know how many members are of you can understand the Telugu, but if you are capable of understanding the Telugu, there is a channel for us. So you can go into the channel. There you will find out the basic VPC and EC2 instances configurations. I will tell you at the end of the session what is the channel and the channel name. So you can go and search there. If at all, if you are if you don't know what is meant by VPC and what is the AWS configuration, from there you can get the content. Okay. Now now let us discuss the next thing. The next thing will be, so here we are, so you need to have the basic understanding about AWS, and the next thing what you need to have is a basic understanding about the Linux commands. So I am not preferring that you need to have a in-depth analysis like an administrator, but if you have a basic understanding about the Linux, that's more than enough. Why? Because we are going to configure the Docker on the Linux missions only. We are not going to configure the Docker on Windows and all the things. We are directly configuring the Docker on the servers. Okay, we will be working with that. And moreover, whatever the ideology, or else whatever the backend process that we are going to do, we are not going to work with the Minikube. That I need to make it very clear. So we are not going to work on Minikube. Minikube is only for the developer related things. So we will be testing on the live environment. Live environment in the sense we are going to create a cluster on Kubernetes, and then we are deploying our pods and containers, remaining things. So we will be seeing about the live environment. Okay. So when I come to the syllabus, so first of all, the basics of Docker, you need to understand the basics of Docker, what is meant by Docker. Before that, what is meant by a container, and before that, why we need to come to the Docker concepts. What is the necessity of coming into this containers? Especially, I am not going to talk about the Docker. Why? Because Docker is one of the software. See, everybody are stressing on Docker. Do you know Docker? Do you know Docker? Here, that means that do you know Docker means that do you know that software? Everybody knows about the Docker, but what actually that Docker will do? So Docker is one of the containerization engine. Now you need to understand what is meant by a container. If you don't understand what is meant by container, then that will be a very tricky situation for you. Okay, so here you need to understand about the containers. So we will be totally focusing on the container, and when we are focusing on the container, who will lift up the container? Obviously the Docker will lift up the container. So see, now if you want to travel from one place to the another place, okay, one place to the another place, or else if you want to go somewhere else, so first of all you need to have a vehicle to travel. Okay, by walk also you can travel, but the point is if you want to travel fast, or else if you want to stay somewhere, you need to have a base. So in the same manner, if the containers has to run, so if the container has to run, there should be some base, or else there should be some, what I can say, daemon. There should be some what I can say, like something like which can hold that. Okay, so that softwares are called as this Docker. Okay, Docker, or I can call Docker, or else containerd. Okay, or else I can call it as rocket rkt. These are all comes under the Docker engines. Okay, these are all comes under the, or else these are all comes under the containerized engines. So among that, the most popular is Docker. Among the containerization container engines, so the most popular is Docker. So everybody will call that Docker only. See, it is like a brand. Okay, so whenever we are discussing about the containers, we will be discussing about the Docker. For example, if I say CSK, Chennai Super Kings, everyone, so there will be 11 members in the team, but every fan will wear a t-shirt and go to the stadium with the number 7. Why? Because Dhoni has become a brand. In the same manner, here also the containers, whatever the containers that we are running, so containers can run on any platform like containerd, rkt, or else we can go with any another Docker engine. But the most famous Docker engine, whenever, or else container engine, but the most famous here, when I say containers, everybody will relate to the Docker. So if I say I know containerization, so obviously they are going to ask you, do you know Docker? So that is the thing. So everybody are relating Docker with containers. So here, one thing that I want to make clear here is Docker will act as an engine that will hold the containers. Okay, so totally we are into the containerization. So first of all, you need to know about what is meant by containerization. Whenever we are working with the containers, here what we are going to do here is how to installation is very simple, guys. So again, in telling about the installation won't give you a very good knowledge. Okay, so installation is very simple. We can work on the Ubuntu. Okay, if you want to work on the Windows, you can simply get the guide from the Docker. It is not like installing Docker is very, it's a rocket science. It is very simple. Okay, so don't worry about the installation. First of all, you need to focus on, so the syllabus covers this. Why Docker? What is the necessity for us to go for the Docker? See, if I am satisfied with the on premises, or else if I am satisfied with the physical server, virtual machines won't come. If I satisfied with the virtual machine, cloud will not come. Okay, if I satisfy with the cloud, then I don't know what will be coming further. Okay, there will be artificial intelligence might be ruling the entire world. Right now we cannot satisfy with a single condition. So in the same manner, we have gone through Docker. What is the necessity of going into the Docker? So this is what we are going to learn first. And the next one is installation is only a single step that is not going to be very helpful for you. And then I will show you how to install Docker on Ubuntu machine. But yes, and the next thing what we are going to do here is, after Docker, after understanding what is the necessity of Docker, then we can be going with the what is container. Okay, what is container and what are the processes? The processes we call as a container. We will be going in depth into the containers, and here you will understand the namespaces. There is nothing necessary about knowing the namespaces. It is just a one-line answer. Okay, so after that, you will be learning about a Docker network. Okay, so what is meant by Docker network, how we can create the multiple Docker networks, and what is meant by actually, first of all, you will be understanding what is Docker network. Once you have understand this, but before that, you will be learning about Docker architecture. So how Docker will be working, so how Docker client will be there, Docker daemon, Docker hub, how they are interrelated with each other. So you will be learning about the Docker architecture, and then you will be learning about the Docker network. Then you will be working with the Docker images. So how to create a Docker image, like there are so many instructions that are helping for you. There are two ways to generate the image, either from your container you can generate the image, or else from the Docker file you can generate the image. And then you will be working with the Docker volumes. Here in between you will get the Docker lifecycle also. It's just a 20 minutes of time. We can cover the Docker lifecycle also. And then we will be going with the Docker volumes. And after that, you will have in the volumes only, you will have the Docker bind mounts also available. And we will be learning about Docker compose. So before you learn about the Docker compose, you need to have a basics as YAML scripting, how to write YAML. Okay, So if you know about the YAML, so then you will understand the Docker Compose. Okay. So that is about your YAML scripting and all the things you need to learn to write the Docker Compose. I will show you one of the, I am not going to very in depth of I will show you how you can write the Docker Compose file for a basic project. Like I'm having a Python project and I'm having a Postgres database. What is Docker Compose? How we can write a Docker Compose for this not a very real time scenario, but I just want to show you how you are going to write. And after Docker Compose, we'll be going with the Docker Swarm. Okay, so how we can create a Docker Swarm is an orchestration tool. So what is this orchestration? Okay, what is this orchestration tool, and what we are going to learn with the Docker Swarm, and later on what we will be learning here is how to manage the Docker Swarm, how to create a cluster with the Docker Swarm. Okay, actually Docker Swarm will not be used in the companies. Okay, the most probably the Docker Swarm is not going to be used in the companies, but so that is also an integral part of Docker. You will learn about the Docker Swarm, and then you will learn about Ingress. Docker Ingress controller. Ingress you will be learning. With that, we will be winding up the Docker sessions. So this is about the syllabus, which we will be covering with. So if you consider this is the basic class, from tomorrow onwards, we will be learning with the Docker containers. And these two sessions are the demo sessions, guys. Today and tomorrow will be the demo sessions. And from next weekend onwards, continuously 4 weekends, we will be having the live sessions. And of course, it is also a live session. Those who has enrolled for the course, they will get the sessions from the next weekend onwards. So this is about what you are going to learn in the Docker. Okay. And the next one here is K8s. So that is Kubernetes. What is this Kubernetes? Why we need to have this Kubernetes? So actually Kubernetes is also an orchestration tool like Docker Swarm, but Kubernetes is more efficient and more, more powerful than the Docker Swarm. We will have certain limitations for the Docker Swarm, but for Kubernetes, we don't have the limitations. So it is more highly useful than the Docker Swarm. Okay, so majority number of the cases in your companies right now, in my company also, I'm implementing the I'm implementing the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so that is what for the Azure accounts. For the Azure cloud, I'm going to implement the Kubernetes. For AWS right now in the sessions, I am going to show you how to implement the Kubernetes cluster on the AWS. I'm going to show you that. And then what we are going to learn here is, so in the Kubernetes, how to create the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so how to create the Kubernetes cluster with the multiple tools. We are having kubeadmin, and then we are having somewhere like what I can say kubeadmin, and or else it is simply called as kubeadm. Okay, kubeadm, and then we are having kops. Okay, Kubernetes operations. Okay, and then we are having rancher. So with the help of rancher, how we can create the cluster, and later on we will be learning about with the help of K3s how we can deploy the cluster in multiple ways, how we can deploy the cluster, that you are going to learn with the K8s cluster topic. And later on, when you go inside the Kubernetes, what will be the primary components, K8s primary components. Okay, like we are having some pods. What is meant by pod? So here you are learning about the container, right? So in depth into that, you are going to learn about pods. Okay, what is meant by pod and all the things. Okay, pod, and then you will be learning about replica sets, and then you will be learning about deployments. What is meant by deployment? These are the things that you are going to learn. And if at all time is there, then I can go with the service accounts also. So you will learn these basics, primary components, and later on we will be going with the K8s services. Okay, what are the different types of services? Like we are having cluster IP. Okay, cluster IP service, and we will be learning about load balancer or else node port service. What are all this node port and load balancer? And if at all, if there is external name, these are the different services that we are going to implement in the Kubernetes. So services are not like applications, guys. Don't get confused here. As I am saying that Kubernetes service, these are different, and your application services are different. Those are not same. Okay, this service will help us to expose your application to the outside the world. So when you create your application on the Kubernetes cluster, if you want to expose that to the outside the world, services will be helping you out that. Okay, so you are going to learn about that, and later on you will be learning about Ingress. So here also for Kubernetes also you are going to get K8s ingress. Here Docker ingress you got Docker Swarm. So when we create the Docker cluster, we will be using one type of ingress like traffic. So here we will be using traffic ingress, and here we are going to use Nginx as an ingress, Nginx as an ingress controller. And then we learn about Kubernetes probes. So what are the different probes? Readiness probe, liveliness probe, and startup probe. What are the different types of probes that we are having, and what is the main use case of that? And then for Kubernetes, we will be learning Kubernetes probes and then sidecar containers. So these are going to be, so you will have a basic understanding about what is meant by a sidecar container, why it is going to be used inside the pod. Okay, what is the necessary for that? And later on, you will be learning about K8s advanced scheduling. Okay, how to schedule a pod. Now you are running multiple pods. How to schedule a pod inside the node? If you are having multi-node cluster, among the multi-node cluster, how you can schedule a pod? Okay, how you can run a pod? What is the affinity that you can give? Okay, so which node it has to select whenever the pod is going to be deployed? Who will select the pod to be deployed on a particular node? So these are all the things that you will learn in this. And later on, what you are going to learn here is Kubernetes persistence volumes. So what is meant by persistence volume? What is meant by empty directory? And how we are going to configure? Is there any shared volume available? These are all the things that you are going to learn in the persistence volumes. And later you will be learning about Kubernetes. What I can say. Hold on. And later on, you will be learning about Helm charts. Okay, and then STO mesh, STO service mesh. We will call it as STO service mesh. We will have a brief understanding about that, and then you will be learning about AWS EKS service, Elastic Kubernetes service, that we are going to integrate with Jenkins. So these things that you are going to learn in the total sessions. What are the sessions that we are running? So in those total sessions, you are going to learn about this. So this is about the syllabus that we are going to work it out. Okay, any questions, guys? Do you understand about the syllabus, what we are going with this? Questions? Any questions about this? Do you understand about, first of all, I know there are some people who doesn't have the not about the maximum limit, or also they will have the basics, but this will be overwhelming for you. Okay, but the thing is, I just want to show you about what we are going to learn in this. So these are the topics that we are going to cover, and this is not the basic concept. This is the entire concepts that we are going to learn with in-depth analysis. The total duration of the course will be 5 weeks. 5 weeks in the sense 10 classes. Within 10 classes, are we going to cover this? I don't know. It might be taking some 3 hours. Sometimes the session will be prolonged for 3 hours. Sometimes the session will be ended within 2 hours. So the basic timing will be 5 to 7 will be the timing. Sometimes it might be like extended to 7:30. It might be extended to 8 o'clock also, or else it might be completed within 7 o'clock. But the basic timing will be, if you exclude this class, and from tomorrow class onwards, we will start the Docker. But yes, so we will be completing within 5 weeks. This is the actual duration which I have kept for this Docker and Kubernetes concepts. Okay. Yes. Yes, you will get.
Hey Chaitanya, actually I'm having one doubt. In probes, what all the topics that we are going to cover?
Sorry?
In probes.
In probes. So what are the probes that we will be having? Readiness probe, liveness probe. That is a basic concept, just the small things, and the startup probes. These are the 3 things that we will be having. 3 probes that we are going to have. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question. Like, where will be pushing the images? These Docker images, are you using ECR or like
Docker Hub?
Kubernetes side.
Docker Hub.
Docker Hub will be using.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So we'll be fetching the same images in Kubernetes YAML file from there only.
Yes, from the Docker Hub only. We will be fetching the images from the Docker Hub, the public repository itself. Okay. Okay, guys, fine then. So let us go with the basic configuration. So the basic things here is why we need to go for the Docker. So again, any questions here? Am I clear with this concept?
one more thing. Are we covering lens tool also, for connecting to this Kubernetes cluster?
Sorry, come again.
There is one lens tool also is there, I think.
That's a basic thing. So I am not going to show you how we are going to connect from our laptop. I will show you from using the lens. If at all, if we have the kube config file, we can directly connect to the Kubernetes cluster. So that is not the thing. But with from the server, okay. So if you want, I will show you. That is not a problem. I already have that. But the point is, we will be working with the management server. There will be a Kubernetes management server, and we will be logging into the cluster. Okay. So if you want to use for the external usage, you can simply copy the kube config file and you can install on, or else you can paste it on the lens file. There you can get the complete COPS or else Kubernetes cluster deployment over there. So you can use for the nodes, you can get the whatever the pods, services, everything will be displayed on the lens.
Yeah,
it's just a simple
will be displayed over there.
Yeah. It's a simple tool. Okay. Yes. Any another questions?
Hey Chaitanya, I think secret topic is not covered in these syllables. Secret and one more thing.
Secrets and
config
maps. Yes.
Yeah.
Secrets and config maps. That is a small topic, which is a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes of topic. After this, advanced scheduling and the persistence volumes. Here you will get the secrets.
Okay.
Secrets and config maps. Okay. And later on, you will have Kubernetes network policies. That is also 30 minutes of topic. That's it. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So these are the things that you are going to learn. Okay, fine then. Let's start with the concept of the basics, and then everybody, whoever have knowledge on YAML, that's okay. And yes.
How this like a DevOps this Kubernetes and Docker will be like images moving from one environment like data apps? How it will be helpful for data apps team and BA team, AA team, ML team, kind of teams? How the DevOps teams will be able to communicate with the data apps teams for moving the data from one environment or like the production to dev environment to production or QA environment to production.
Okay, so you are having the doubt like how we can move this images. So see here, this is into the administrator. Whatever we are going to learn here, that is totally in the administrative perspective. Okay, first thing is that, and who will develop the apps? So here, whatever the tools that we are learning here, Docker and Kubernetes, so they are for the maintenance of your applications. They are like an infrastructure tools, infrastructure management tools. Okay, so is there anything to do with the development and the QA? So who will develop the applications? The developers will develop the application, and QA or testing people will test that application whether it is working fine or not. And then they will be, if at all, if the application is working good, then they will be forwarding this particular application to the infrastructure environment to deploy on the servers. Okay. So when they forward it to, in the good olden days, they will forward it to the infrastructure developer or else infrastructure administrators, where they are going to, or else they will tell about the environment. This is what the environment that we need to have. These are the applications that should be, those are the dependencies that we need to run. Okay, so who will provide that? Obviously, the development team has to provide all these things, right?
Yes.
So without providing about the dependencies and all the things, how an developer or else administrator will work it out? So in the same manner, here also in the Docker also, the development team has to provide us the exact versions. So whenever we are deploying any application, the team will say that, the development team will say that these are the commands. This is the operating system that is supported by actually, this is the Linux operating system. Actually, why? Because the most number of the applications will be running on the Linux operating system. They will be telling about that. Or else we can take our own image, and then they will provide some, what I can say, dependencies. Okay, these are the dependencies. This is the application that, so for example, if I take an example of Jenkins, or also if I take some of the banking application, they will be running on Java 1.8. So we need to install that on the container. Okay, so how we are installing on our servers, in the same manner, we are going to install those dependencies on the containers, and we will be allowing the application to run on that. We will pack that as an image. Okay, whatever the whatever the data that they have provided, or else whatever the application that they have provided, and with the dependencies, we are going to create a Docker image file. Okay, or else Docker file. From that Docker file, we are going to convert that into an image, and we will be pulling the image from the, or else we will be keeping that on our mission, or we will save it on the Docker Hub. From the Docker Hub, whenever we are creating the container, we will pull that. So you will come to know about this. Okay, so I cannot say that in a one class, I cannot explain you about all the things, but the point is here how they will communicate, in the sense, obviously the development team has to provide the total dependencies for creating a image file. With the image file only, we can deploy the servers. Okay, or else deploy the containers. Is that what you want? You got what
Yes.
you require?
Yes, yes. And also one
Yeah.
more doubt, like this orchestration tool Kubernetes will have all the parts in particular container. There are the parts that. My question is: it every part is a separate image, or like one means a minimum operating system kind of thing?
Okay, so this is the basic class. I cannot say that, but the point is every pod is like a separate operating system. It will work as a separate mission. Okay, for example, let me tell you like this. If at all, if you are having a single server, okay, so suppose I will tell you in the conventional method so that you can easily understand. So you are having a single server and you deployed an application in the server. Okay, so the on the server you will have the load. So the external people will be accessing the server continuously. They will be accessing the server. The load will be on the server. Okay, suddenly if you announce a sale, okay, if you suddenly announce a sale, what happens? The load on the server will be increased, right? So that only server will be a single point of failure. We cannot have the single server. What we need to have? We need to have the multiple servers with the same dependency, same application, right?
Yes.
So there will be load balancing. In the same manner, here also the pod will have the same application, each and every pods with the same deployment. If at all, if you want to run the multiple applications or else the same application, what we are going to do, we are going to create multiple pods, okay, so that they will be load balancing. And when you want to install the different application also, you can run the different application in the same server. So that totally your wish. So in the same node, in the sense, in the same server, you can have a single pod, or else you can have the multiple pods. That depends upon the multiple application. If your server configuration is very large, like somewhere like 16 CPU processors, or else 16 cores of processors, or else somewhere like 128 GB of RAM. If at all, if your server configuration is high, then you can run multiple applications with the multiple pods. Are you able to understand? So that will be, so if that totally depends upon your working style. If you want to have the pods, multiple pods on the same mission, you can have the multiple application pods that have their own dependencies. One application might require some to run on Ubuntu server. Some application might be requiring to run on some what I can say Linux Alpine, or else that depends. So depend on the application, you can run the multiple applications inside the pods, and you can run the multiple pods inside the single server. Are you able to understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Alok is trying to say something. Yes, please send this recording. You will get the recording, Alok. You don't need to worry about that.
Okay, sir. That I'm asking just like in this course, do we have like kind of any means a demonstration for the OpenShift clustering or OpenShift deployment in this class?
No.
So
No.
any like kind of
do I mention
particularly for OpenShift, not
Mhm.
for particular, but like similar kind of anything else, so we can deploy and we can see that how actually this
The same what I
container.
am saying here, the containers and all the things, Kubernetes is equivalent to your OpenShift. It is an other tool that we will work with, like an OpenShift itself. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like AWS, you have written EKS.
So this is the additional topic. In AWS, we are having EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, which we will be having as we are covering the total Kubernetes classes. I will be adding this AWS EKS. Okay.
That is also a similar kind of the OpenShift only, yeah?
That is cloud platform tool. Okay. Don't get OpenShift into here. I know that you might be an experience with OpenShift. Don't get OpenShift. That is a different tool. and this is the content is similar. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
if we want to do experiment on OpenShift, so can you guide us like how we can do on that one? Like,
sorry, I am not working on the OpenShift. Without having proper knowledge on that, I cannot give you the exact solution for your problems. Okay. I'm having the knowledge on Kubernetes only. I'm working with that. Okay.
so both are similar only, na? That OpenShift and Kubernetes. You mean to
See,
say? Like,
let me frame you like this. Windows and Linux, both are the operating systems only, na?
yes.
But that there will be difference, right? Whatever the applications that you are running on the Windows, you cannot run on the Linux, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chaitanya.
Yes.
So, yeah. Hi, Chaitanya. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes.
Yeah, Chaitanya, I have a question over here. I means like just a question regarding the interview purpose. So on this topics, the dependencies that you gave on this, like Docker architecture, lifestyle, and the Kubernetes, all those stuff. What would be the day-to-day activities on this basis?
See, the primary basic thing is nobody, if you join as a Kubernetes administrator or as a DevOps engineer, if at all the cluster is already configured, okay. So when the cluster is already configured, you might get a problem with the containers, pods. Suddenly there might be an issue with the what I can say applications. Suddenly the containers may go down. Okay, suddenly the pods might go down. But actually, what happens here is Kubernetes will have a self-healing technology. Okay, automatically if pod is down, automatically it is going to create its own pod. Okay, but in some companies they might be using the Docker. Okay, so whenever they are using the Docker, suddenly some containers may go down. Okay, so at that particular point of time we need to check the logs. What is the problem with that? So if you learn this, you will understand the actual scenario of what happens in the behind, what we have exposed, and what actually the problem that we are affecting. So if you go to the describing the pod or else describing the container, you will get the logs. Okay, you will get to understand what is the problem. You can troubleshoot that in this day-to-day scenario. Every time, see, whenever I work with the Docker, I won't get to deploy much what I can say much more applications. So every time, so once in a 6 months they will give me a project and ask me to write a Docker file that for that project. Okay, so I am going to, so what they will do, they will ask me, they will provide me the entire dependencies list. So these are the dependencies which we want, and write a Docker file for that, and create a container for this Docker application. So what I will do, I will understand the dependencies. On the dependencies, I'm going to write the Docker file, and after creating the Docker file, I will install that on the Docker machine, or else Docker, I will create a container and I will run it. So first of all, I will see in the development phase, and later on I will be sending that to the UAT or else testing team, or else directly I'm not going to apply on the production environment. First of all these things has to be happen for the Docker also. First I will test it, how it is going to react. After testing that, then I will implement on my production servers. When I implemented that on the production servers, so day to day, I won't get a majority number of times, I won't get any problems with the Docker containers. Suddenly, if the container is down, then only suddenly sometimes the container might be misbehaving in the sense that it might be not responding. At that particular time only, what I will do, I will log into the container or else container server, and I will check out the logs. So these are the day-to-day activities that I will do with the Docker and Kubernetes. Especially if you go to the Kubernetes, you don't need to work very hard with the Kubernetes. Why? Because Kubernetes itself have a self-healing technology. Self-healing technology in the sense, it is not a technology. There is a self-healing mechanism. Suddenly, if the pod is down, there is a concept called as replica sets. That is the reason you need to understand the concept. So if suddenly pod is down, who will replace that pod? How that pod will be replaced? That pod will be replaced with the help of the replica sets. And these replica sets will continuously monitor the pods, how many number of pods are running. Suddenly, if the pod goes down, then replica set will replace a new pod. Then here we are having some probes, as I already said you, readiness probe, liveliness probe, and startup probe. These are the probes. Liveliness probe will continuously monitor the containers. So inside the pod, we will have the containers. You will come to know when you go back into the Kubernetes, you will clearly understand that. So when the container is running, suddenly if the container goes down, so who will respond? The liveliness probe will be continuously monitoring the container. So whether the container application is running good or not. If the container application is not running fine, then there will be a threshold for the liveliness probe. So it will try to restart the container. When it tries to restart the container for the first time, if the container is not started, again for after a few seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, we will provide that time limit also. After a few seconds, then again it will try to start the container. At the second time also, if it is not started, we will provide some threshold. You have to check for 3 times. I will say to the liveliness probe that you have to check for 3 times. It will check for the third time. If the third time also the container is not running, then the liveliness probe will declare that the container is a dead container. And automatically, if the main container is down, then automatically the pod is down. So then the pod will be removed and the replica set will create a new pod. So this is all going to happen within the Kubernetes cluster only. We are not going to do anything. And after that is deleted, then we can collect the logs. We can collect what is the reason behind that, why the container is down. We can collect the logs and we can manage, we can understand, okay, due to this problem, the container is down. And we can say that to the development team. So as this application is running like this, due to that, the logs has shown like this. So due to that, you need to change your application code. Or else sometimes that might be a problem with our server. Suddenly there will be a high usage of CPU. Due to that also sometimes, I'm not saying every time, there might be problem. There might be several problems. We need to understand the logs and we need to work accordingly. Okay. So this is about your Kubernetes and day-to-day activities. Am I clear with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, one more thing I want to ask. In this
Okay.
class, are we going to set up this Kubernetes cluster also by hands, like our own?
Yes, without Kubernetes cluster, you won't do the practice. First thing is that. That is what I said you in the starting. We are going to deploy our live clusters with the cops. We are going to work every day. We are going to work with the cluster only. Whatever we want to learn,
in the local machine, or like where we have
in the
to do?
in the AWS in the AWS servers. Okay, we need to have an AWS account. In the AWS servers only, we are going to deploy the 3-node single master cluster every time. Every day we are going to do that. Okay, so in the local machine, if you want, you can install the Minikube. Okay, but I am not going to say about the Minikube. Again, I'm saying you that we are going to work in the production level environment. Okay, and the cost will be, see, again, apart from your course fees, if you want to learn, if you want to go in deep into the Kubernetes, the cost will be somewhere around 2,500 rupees extra. You have to keep in your hand for the AWS billing purpose. Why? Because we are going to work with the T2 medium servers. We are not going to work on the T2 micro servers. Okay, T2 micro servers are not sufficient for running the Kubernetes cluster. So we need to have the T2 medium servers only.
We have to create an account in that, yeah, in the AWS, and then
you need to create an AWS account.
The free tier is okay.
Yes,
like
you need to create an AWS account.
Is the free tier is
yeah,
okay?
You can go with the free tier.
Okay.
No need of going with any premium subscription. If free tier is okay, but for free tier also, don't think that every instance is free of cost. Okay. T2 medium servers are costly, like 4 rupees for each server. If I am going with the 3-node cluster, 4 4s are 16 rupees per day, per class, or else per practice. You will be charged with some 32 rupees of time. If you work for 2 hours, some 32 rupees will be charged for you per day. Okay. That's it, guys.
That you can help us, na, that time.
Yes, sorry.
You can help us to how to create account and how to do that, all these things, na?
Creation of the account, again I need to go with the AWS. Okay, chalo, no issues. Tomorrow I will show you how to create the AWS account. There will be so many members.
I joined little late. Actually, I joined little late, so that is why you may already explain these things.
Yes, that's okay. So you might be already having the AWS accounts, but the point is, whoever doesn't have that, see, it's not a very high level thing to explain. You can go and search in any YouTube also, you can get that. But the point is, if you have asked me, I will definitely help you on how to create the AWS account. Tomorrow class, I will show you how to create that. And then we will be going with the configurations related to VPC and all the things. Okay. Yes.
So when we have to pay this fees and start the actual classes, like from next week or like
next week onwards. So this week you will be, the 2 demos will be free. From tomorrow onward, I mean from the next week onwards, your sessions will be paid sessions, or else you have to join. You have to enroll for the sessions.
On Monday, yeah, or
yeah, like, no, on next week. This is a weekend batch. Every Saturday and Sunday you will have that from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
But in the template, they said the 29, 30, 31st, I think.
No, 29 and 30. You can check out
Okay.
that. It's a weekend batch.
And what will be the timing for the regular classes? Like
5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's it.
okay, sir. Okay.
Every week
Okay.
you will have 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So I got something from Nishant on the basis of some event. Can pods be generated after the completion of job, or job pod ends or destroy itself? Job will be terminated if at all. If you the pod will be if at all. Actually, yes, the pod will be destroyed itself, and destroyed in the sense it will be terminated if at all. If you are done with if the container is done working with that, then why again the pod has to run? Okay, actually these types of pods we can call it as a sidecar containers. So see, actually there will be a main application and there will be a sidecar application. You will learn that. So I don't want to disclose that. That is an entire class that you are having. Sidecar containers, we are having an extra class for that. You will learn that in that class. Okay. Yes. Is everything clear for you? Can I go further?
Sir, I'm planning to learn DevOps. So can I
Okay.
attend this session
Absolutely.
directly?
You don't need to have any hesitations to join in the session. You can easily join that. Why? Because see, I am not going to tell about the tools like Git. We are not going for the Git. Okay. We are not going for Terraform. We are not going for Ansible. We are not going for any huge DevOps tools. See, if I take the DevOps classes, what are the tools that I'm going to say? Shell script, Git, Terraform, and then Docker, and then I will go with Ansible, Jenkins, and then Maven, Prometheus, Grafana. These are the tools that I'm going to say. But right now I'm not working with the DevOps, so I'm not going to provide the trainings on DevOps, so I'm not discussing about that. But the basic thing here is Docker doesn't have, yes, of course, it might be a tool of the DevOps also, but you don't need to worry about, do I need to learn that? Absolutely, you don't. Without hesitation, you can learn that. This will be very easy. You don't find like an interconnection. Only where you will get the interconnection here is in the Jenkins. That I can make you understand about that. Okay. Yes. Am I clear?
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Main thing is understanding YAML. It's pretty simple. Understanding YAML is not a rocket science, Alok. It's just a simple code. Okay, we don't need to worry about the YAML. First of all, what is this YAML? You need to understand two things. Let us discuss. As we have come with the YAML scripting, I will just discuss about that. So you are having the queries. I will try to resolve all the queries right now in the basic session only. From tomorrow, we will start with the operations, like why we need to go for Docker, what is the necessity, and then how to install the Docker on Ubuntu server and how to work with the Docker. Everything I will explain you in the next session. But as of now, as I have got a question, that is, what is this YAML? So YAML and JSON, these two are the, what I can say, actually there are two types of languages. Okay, one is the what I can say, software language like Python. Okay, so these are all comes under one set of languages, and these are comes under the one set of languages. Okay, both are the programming languages only, but these two are the different languages. If you can see here, YAML and JSON. What are those things are called as? See here. So both are the data serialization language, you can call like that. Okay, I don't want to I don't want to expose all these things, but anyways, the point is here you will find a pretty similarity between YAML and JSON. You don't need to worry about that. So what happens here, what they will do here is they will carry out the data from one program to the another program. These two languages, whatever the YAML and JSON. So if you provide some data for an application, and that data has to be forwarded to another application, how that will be forwarded? These two will pick up the data and it will forward that. That is the serialization data serialization languages. Now, when you're coming back to this, see here, it's a pretty simple job. Now, what I want to show you here is, let me go to, I'll just give a basic understanding about that, and later on we will understand how to write this YAML script. So it is not a very big topic to understand. It's a small thing. First of all, I will write some JSON script, and later on I will go with the YAML, or else directly I can go with the YAML also. It's not a very big thing. For example, I want to describe about the types of clouds. Okay, types of clouds, and this data should be provided to some application. Try to understand this. Okay, I will work with the cloud.yaml. So any YAML scripting, or else any YAML scripting language, or else anything, any documentation will be starting with 3 hyphens. If you want to give that, it is not a mandatory thing. If you give this will be differentiating 2 YAML scripts. In a single YAML file, if you are having 2 YAML script, you can give 3 dots or else 3 hyphens. That will differentiate one set of YAML script and another set of YAML script. And later on, for example, if I want to understand about the AWS cloud, so here that will be in the key value pair cloud, and you need to give a what I can say, that you don't need to provide the double quotes. Okay, so just you need to provide the cloud, and what is the cloud that you want to give? AWS. I want to learn about AWS. Okay, that's good. And in the AWS, what are the different things that are there? So if you want to understand about this, so the cloud which I want to know is AWS, and the year of establishment, on which year the AWS cloud was introduced. The AWS cloud is introduced in the year 2006. This is, so I am telling about the AWS cloud. Under AWS cloud, I am giving some metadata regarding the cloud itself. Okay, so and afterwards, what you can do here is you can go with the services. What are the services? Here you can provide the services. Let me show you this. The services is, so what are the services that are provided by your AWS cloud? The services are, so under AWS services, we are having VPC is one of the service. So if I want to give multiple elements, if I want to show you multiple elements, how I can show here is in YAML, you have to give hyphen. If you give hyphen, this is one of the element, and the another service is EC2 instances, and the another service is S3 bucket, and the another service is RDS. If you give like this, under RDS also, again, you are having multiple services. If you want to specify like this, under RDS, you are having MySQL and PostgreSQL, and you are having somewhere like Oracle. So that's it. So you don't need to worry anything about this. Most probably you will be working like this only. So I want to describe about the cloud. Under cloud, when the cloud was introduced? Cloud was introduced in the year 2006. And what are the services that are provided by the cloud? The services that are provided by AWS is VPC, EC2, and RDS. So if you want to make it as a multiple elements, for example, there is another cloud. So the cloud is here. The point is the cloud which I want to say, or else if I said you previous thing, what I said you, if you want to give 2 YAML scripts in a single page, then what you have to do here is you can simply provide 3 hyphens. That will differentiate. Previously we have the errors, now we don't have. Why? Because this is a set of YAML file and this is another set of YAML file. Like that you can differentiate. Or else I just want to show you one thing. So these 2 clouds, what is the cloud? What is the other cloud that I have to show you is, the other cloud is Azure, which was introduced in the year 2010. And what are the services provided by Azure? Here the Azure will provide VNet, and in place of EC2 they will provide VMs, and in S3 they will provide blob or service accounts, or sorry, storage accounts. Here you will be having blob storage, and in RDS or else relational databases or databases, they will provide same, the MySQL, PostgreSQL, and Oracle, or Microsoft SQL. So these are the things they will be providing. Okay, so if you think this, these 2 comes under these 2 are the same elements. These 2 are the public clouds. If at all, if I have to show you, they belongs to the same. What I can do here is I will make it as public cloud. So they will comes under the public cloud. Okay, so this is an element. So I can make it like hyphen cloud, and these are all comes under the single line. Okay, and here this is an another cloud, so simply hyphen cloud. This is an another element, right? So that is the reason why I'm mentioning like this. Okay, so this is how you can write the YAML script. That's it. Under what you are getting what? So in the under public cloud, we are having 2 types of clouds. One is AWS and the other one is Azure. So when was the cloud introduced and what are the services? Under services, what we are having VPC, EC2 instances, and RDS. Under RDS, again, we are having MySQL, PostgreSQL, and Oracle. So this is how you can write it. So this is as simple as writing YAML script. This is what we are writing in the manifest also. So if I want to write a manifest here, for example, I want to create a pod. So pod.yaml. I'm not going to disclose everything right now, but if you want to write a manifest, you need to give API version. These are the things that you have to provide. Okay, API version is v1. You will come to know about what is this API version and all the things. And the next one is kind. So it is a pod. I want to deploy pod. Okay. And the next one is metadata. So the metadata describing about the pod, the metadata in metadata, what you will have labels. Sorry. What is the label that you want to provide to the pod? I want to provide as app equal to web app. Okay. So this is how you can provide that. And later on, what you can do, you can provide the name. What is the name of the pod that you want to deploy? The name of the pod that I want to deploy is web. Under that, you can provide the specification. This is how you can write the manifest. Okay. That you will learn. Alok, don't ask these questions. How to expose URL to access from the web in the Kubernetes. You will come to know. This is a starting class. Okay. If you have any these kind of doubts, if you ask after completing of the services, then I can explain you that how we have exposed that. This is a starting class. Okay. So this is very extended thing that you have asked me. So it is very simple thing that I can explain you now. But if I explain you now, then what I have to explain in the class? Okay, hold on your enthusiasm. I know that there are so many people who are enthusiastic to learn the entire Kubernetes in a single class. That is not possible. Try to understand. Okay, so this is how you are going to write the manifest. After that, what I need to do here is I want to provide the specifications, specifications about the pod. So under specifications, what I have to provide the name of the containers that I have to run. So I can go with the containers and what is the container name, what is the image that I have to take. I can mention that. This is how you are going to write the what I can say manifest in the what I can say Kubernetes. Okay, or else Docker Compose also the same thing. So you need to get a point. One thing is that in YAML, whenever you are writing YAML, so you need to understand the indentation. If you understand the indentation, you can play with the YAML. Okay, it is not a very big hardest language like your C++. When I used to learn C++, that is the very hardest language that I have to learn. So actually, I am from the electrical background, but I'm working as a DevOps engineer. Try to understand. There will be some people who are working as a mechanical, who are coming from the mechanical background. They will be in a confusion that are we able to work with this? If I am able to do that, why can't you? I don't know. See, I don't know C++. Even though in my BTech days, I used to learn just for 1 year. I learned C language. That's it. And after that, when I completed my entire BTech, like 3-4 years, after 4 years, when I joined the course, or else when I joined the companies, I didn't work for the C language. I am totally changed my part to the administration. Now I'm working as a successful administrator. So it is not related to your skill set, not related to your batch which you belongs to. Okay. So it is very easy to work out with the Docker and Kubernetes. So this is what I want to say you finally. So that's about how you can write the YAML scripting. Not a very difficult task to write the YAML scripting. Once you understand what will be coming under what, you will clearly understand that. You can use the VS Code, Nishan, Visual Studio Code. If you use that, then that will be a useful IDE for you. Okay, so like Eclipse and all the things, you don't need to use anything else for writing the YAML. If you use Visual Studio Code, that's more than enough. Okay, to maintain the indentation, you can just simply press, if you see here, I can make this one like this. So if I want to make the indentation, Alt to Shift F, if I press that will be equally coming up. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the indentation. That will be very easy. You can use the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so yes. Yes.
No, I said okay.
Yep, fine then. So that's about the basics, guys. What you have to learn and what are the prerequisites to cover this class, and what are the things that you have to cook up, and what are the things that you need to be very ready. And you don't need to worry about how to create the Docker. What is the main utilization of the Docker? The main utilization of the Docker, why we are going for the Docker, that you will learn in the next session. Am I clear? Actually, I can cover it right now, but I want to keep it for the next day so that you can be very, very confident about what you are going to learn in the next session. And next session, we will be learning about what is the main difference between the physical server and the virtualized machine. And then we will be learning about the Docker. So the 2 hours will be constantly depending on the Docker configuration itself. Okay, so I hope I have cleared each and every doubt. Anybody is having any further clarification? Do you need any further clarification? You can ask me now. Any clarifications? Okay, now let us give me the class timings. The class timings it is a weekend batch. It is a weekend batch. Most probably 29th it is started 29th of this July 2023. And most probably it's a 5 weekend batch, which will be concluding. I am going to conclude the batch by, so this is the first weekend, second, third, and fourth, maybe 26th of the, like 26th Saturday, I'm going to conclude the sessions. 26th and 27th, we are going to conclude the sessions. If at all, if it is not possible, then second and third won't be there. The class won't be there on second and third. If at all, if I'm not able to conclude the sessions by 26 and 27, then we will be having an extra class on 9th of September, not on 2nd and 3rd of the September. Okay, so that weekend we don't have the classes if I am unable to complete the sessions. Okay. So most probably the tentative date to complete your sessions will be 9th of September. Make it 9th of September. Of course, it might be like, see, five weekends batch. It might be prolonged. Sometimes it might be prolonged, or sometimes I can close the batch by 50th weekend itself. And here the timings will be 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Sometimes it might be prolonged to 8 also. I cannot say that. Depends upon the class duration and depends upon the content that we are learning. Depends on that. The class might be extended to 8 p.m. also. And one more thing that I want to say here is, yeah, what else? And I have given you the syllabus and timings and weekend batch. Everything is clear for you. Is there any questions apart from this? About the fees, you can contact the administrator, and the fees I am very clear about this. That will be 5,000 rupees, or else somewhere the DURGASOFT management has said you. Okay, so I don't know what you are going to. You are going to get a very good knowledge, but this 5,000 is normalized fees for you, and don't expect apart from this. I want a huge discount on this. It's just a normal 5,000 bucks. Okay. Even though I know what is the student perspective of joining in the sessions, but anyways, so with these sessions, I am pretty sure that you are going to learn in deep knowledge about the Kubernetes. Okay. Any further questions now? Questionnaire, guys. Next 15 minutes, questionnaire.
One small doubt, sir. Actually, in 25th, you have started a batch, right? AWS on DevOps.
No, I'm started only AWS. Night, you are saying night 9 o'clock.
No, 7 a.m. morning.
7 a.m. I did not start any batch.
Like in website, it is mentioned 25th of July, 7 a.m. DevOps with AWS.
No, that is not my batch. I am totally sure about that.
Okay.
That is AWS knowledge necessary, sir?
Basics is necessary, not in deep knowledge like S3 and all the things, but basics are necessary.
If I don't have, but still, can I understand your explanations?
You can. It is not depends upon the AWS concepts. So I will tell you, I will give you a basic thing in the next session. But yes, it is not a mandatory thing to have the knowledge. But if you have the basic understanding about that, are you a Telugu guy? Again asking you. Are you a Telugu guy?
Yes.
Do you understand Telugu?
Sir, understand.
If you understand Telugu, okay, good. So, not this one. Where is this one? Sorry about the other persons. I am not saying that. Hold on. Where is this? I think. Let me do one thing. So there is a YouTube channel for me. That is, yeah, let me do on YouTube. If I go with this, I can search for CGIT trainings. CGIT trainings. Okay, so this is my, sorry?
Like I'm asking you, we have Ansible video. Did you cover that?
No,
like related to Ansible?
No. This is not there here. Okay, Ansible is not there. But if you have any questions, if at all, if you are a Telugu person, here I have uploaded some AWS videos. This is my personal thing. You can go through this. You can clearly understand what is AWS, how AWS is configured. And this is the basic AWS structure, AWS VPC. And then here you are having some security groups that will be helpful for you. So if you go through this playlist, it will be helpful. And apart from that, if you have any doubts regarding the Kubernetes, also I have uploaded here. Okay, so just go to that once. And total syllabus is not there. Again, don't agreed on that. So here only the basics are there. And if you go back here you are having some Linux basics also available. Not very in-depth Linux, but yes, basics of Linux are available. And even though networking is also available here, networking basics, if you want, you can understand it. That is totally in Telugu. And here you are having the basics of Docker. I'm not going to tell you about the complete Docker, but yes, you are having the Docker. So the basic things are available there. So if you have any questions, if you have any doubts on this, you can go through this. And here you are having some Git. Okay, not totally, I'm not discussing about the Git, but yes, the basics are available. Okay, so I just gave it for your understanding purpose. Okay, so that's about my YouTube channel. You can understand the total sessions over here and my teaching. So just to go through the Docker and the Kubernetes, you will have the clear-cut understanding. Or else if you have any doubts with the AWS, and that is only, the channel is only for like whoever are Telugu, who understand the Telugu, they will have a clear-cut understanding about the AWS basic configurations. In AWS, I did not introduce load balancer. Load balancer is not there in the playlist. Okay, NLB, ALB, auto scaling groups, and then we are having CloudFront, global accelerator, IAM policies, EC2 instances, S3 buckets. These are all not available, but the basic things are available in that what I can say playlist. You can go through that once. Okay.
Sure, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. That is what I want to say about the classes and classes timings and the syllabus and whatever the YAML script. That is very simple. How to write the YAML script and how to execute that. If you understand that, we can go further into the Docker compose and all the files. It will be very easy. Simply one thing you need to understand here is in the JSON, whatever the JSON scripting that we have provided. So we are going to see JSON or YAML. You need to go with the indentation. In JSON, there will be separate settings. You need to go with the double quotations. You need to go with the what I can say key value pairs. Like that, there will be several things. But in YAML, you don't have all these things. If you understand this code, see here what I have provided here. So this is how you can. This is how your manifest will be looking like. I will be having API version, kind, metadata, spec, and this is how your manifest will be there. Under what you are having what. If you understand this, if you understand this, then it is very simple. Within fraction of seconds, you can write your code. Okay. Yes. So that's about YAML scripting. It is not a very difficult one. It is a simple one. Okay. That is what I want to say. And yes, further questions, guys, any questions, or also I can wind up the session for today. And from tomorrow onwards, you won't be having like 6:15 of sessions. You will be having the entire 7 hours, like 2 hours of sessions up to 7 o'clock. You will have the sessions. Yes. Any questions? Am I clear with all the content, what you are going to learn? I got some 4 questions here. Yes, Kubernetes, we will learn in detail, right? Yes, you will learn in detail. And please share the recording, please ping link. Okay. And if you want, we can create a group also, if you want, and we can communicate there. So whoever has enrolled, so from them, I'm going to take the group, take the numbers, and I'm going to create a group. Okay, don't worry about that. Yes. Have a nice day, and we'll meet in the next session. Tomorrow, you will have the session at exactly 5 o'clock, and it might be taking up to 7 o'clock also, 7:30 also. But most probably,
sir, one doubt, sir. What applications are you deploying in Kubernetes or Docker, sir?
It's just a general application. It's not about the live environment applications. Okay, so if you have an application, think that you are having an application. Okay,
means actually Hadoop or something like
no,
any example you'll take?
that you will come to know. Hadoop, see, that is a very big thing. Okay, that cannot be created on the Docker. So if you want the what I can say, those are all comes under like data analytics. Okay, big data. Okay, they cannot be created on small containers. Why we are using the containers? To reduce our workloads on the servers. So, but that storages should be created on the separate servers, on the total SAN storages or separate servers has to maintain for them. Okay, not with the Docker. We cannot work with that. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Fine, guys. Tomorrow we will meet and discuss more things on the Docker. Have a nice day. And I don't want to prolong this anymore. I hope that everything I have given you clear. Tomorrow we will be starting with the Docker. Have a nice day and we'll meet tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.